The latest headlines have sparked a massive debate across the crypto community. Many people are now claiming that Swift has introduced its own blockchain and that this could become the next big XRP killer. As soon as the announcement spread, social media exploded with questions. Is XRP about to lose its biggest advantage? Has Ripple been replaced? Is this the beginning of the end for XRP? In this video, we're going to carefully break down what Swift has actually built, what it hasn't built, why so many people are misunderstanding the news, and where XRP still fits into the future of global finance. There are going to be many similar announcements in the coming years, so if you don't understand the difference between private blockchain infrastructure and public blockchain networks, you're going to have a very difficult time separating facts from hype. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiteboard Crypto Update. In today's video, we will talk about XRP. So be sure to stay focused, as you surely don't want to miss out on this. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications by hitting the bell so you never miss any of our uploads. This video is for educational purposes only. It is not financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. The first thing that needs to be understood is probably the most important point in this entire conversation. A lot of people immediately saw the words Swift blockchain and assumed it directly replaces XRP. That conclusion completely ignores how blockchain infrastructure is actually being developed. What Swift has introduced is a permissioned or private blockchain designed for its own internal operations and coordination. That is fundamentally different from a public blockchain like the XRP ledger. While the XRP ledger combines messaging, settlement, and value transfer into one open, decentralized network, Swift's solution is designed to operate within a controlled environment where only approved participants have access. Those are two completely different purposes. Understanding the difference between private and public blockchains is essential because both are necessary. They are not enemies competing for survival. Instead, they solve different problems and will likely work together in the future. Think about how we use the internet today. Imagine if every single photo, document, message, or personal file on your phone had to be uploaded publicly for the entire world to see. Nobody would accept that because people need privacy. Now imagine the opposite situation where everything remained locked away privately forever with absolutely no ability to share information online. That wouldn't work either, because the internet depends on sharing data publicly when necessary. The digital world only functions because private storage and public networks exist together. The same logic applies to blockchain technology. Financial institutions are never going to place every internal transaction onto a completely public blockchain. There are compliance requirements, confidential business information, customer privacy rules, and internal accounting systems that require restricted access. At the same time, there are situations where moving value across organizations, countries, and financial networks benefits tremendously from public blockchain technology. These two systems complement one another instead of replacing one another. Many people mistakenly believe blockchain adoption was always supposed to mean that every bank, every government, and every institution would abandon their own systems overnight and immediately operate entirely on one public blockchain. That idea was popular years ago, particularly among Bitcoin maximalists who believed traditional financial infrastructure would simply disappear. Reality has proven much more practical. Institutions are modernizing gradually, building private blockchain infrastructure first while creating pathways toward interoperability with public networks. An easy way to understand this is by looking at how the internet itself evolved. Before businesses became comfortable operating online, they first built private databases, internal computer systems, secure company networks, and protected digital storage. Those private systems allowed organizations to digitize information safely. Only after that digital foundation existed did widespread internet connectivity become truly valuable. The public internet didn't eliminate private databases. Instead, Private databases actually increased internet usage because companies now had digital information that could be shared whenever appropriate. Blockchain technology is following a remarkably similar path. Private blockchains help organizations digitize deposits, financial assets, internal records, settlement instructions, compliance procedures, and operational workflows. Once those assets become digital, institutions naturally begin looking for secure ways to connect beyond their own walls. That is where public blockchain networks become increasingly valuable. This is one of the biggest reasons Ripple has spent years developing enterprise blockchain solutions alongside the XRP ledger itself. Ripple has never argued that every organization should immediately abandon private infrastructure. Instead, the company has consistently recognized that institutional adoption requires both private systems and public settlement networks. Those two pieces were always expected to evolve together. If anything, Swift's decision to embrace blockchain technology should be viewed as one of the strongest validations the industry has received. For nearly a decade, many of the world's largest financial institutions dismissed blockchain entirely. We repeatedly heard claims that blockchain wasn't necessary, that existing systems worked perfectly well, and that cryptocurrencies had no meaningful future in institutional finance. Now, many of those same organizations are investing enormous resources into blockchain development. That is not evidence that blockchain failed. It is evidence that blockchain succeeded. The important question isn't whether institutions are adopting blockchain. The answer to that is becoming increasingly obvious. The important question is how they are adopting it. Right now, many institutions are beginning with private blockchain environments because that's the most practical way to modernize existing operations. They need internal reconciliation, digitized deposits, permissioned access controls, and regulatory compliance before expanding into broader interoperability. That progression makes complete sense. What this really represents is a massive shift in thinking. Instead of saying blockchain isn't useful, institutions are now admitting they need blockchain infrastructure moving forward. That alone is incredibly significant. It confirms that the underlying technology was never the problem. The industry simply needed time to mature. As adoption accelerates, we're likely to see more banks, payment providers, governments, and financial organizations launching their own permissioned blockchain systems. Every new announcement will probably generate headlines suggesting another competitor has arrived. However, if you understand the architecture behind these systems, you'll recognize that most of these developments actually strengthen the long-term case for blockchain as a whole. Private blockchains improve internal efficiency, but they don't automatically solve global interoperability. Different institutions will still need ways to transfer value across separate networks. They will still require trusted settlement mechanisms. They will still need standardized communication with external participants. Public blockchain infrastructure is specifically designed to provide those capabilities. This discussion isn't new. Years ago, many people believed JPM coin would completely replace XRP. That prediction never materialized. Instead, JP Morgan continued expanding its blockchain research while acknowledging the broader importance of digital asset infrastructure. Many major financial institutions now openly recognize that public blockchain networks have an important role within the future financial ecosystem because they understand that open infrastructure creates opportunities private systems alone cannot provide. Think about it another way. Did private company databases destroy the internet? Absolutely not. They actually accelerated internet adoption because businesses finally had digital information worth connecting. The same principle applies here. Every institution that digitizes its internal financial operations becomes one step closer to interacting with broader blockchain ecosystems. Looking over the long term, it's difficult to imagine a future where isolated private blockchains operate completely independently forever. Businesses, banks, governments, payment providers, and financial markets all need interoperability. They need systems capable of communicating with one another efficiently. Public blockchain networks are uniquely positioned to provide that shared infrastructure. If financial institutions had continued rejecting blockchain technology entirely, that would have been a much more concerning scenario for the cryptocurrency industry. Instead, we're witnessing the exact opposite. They're investing heavily because they recognize blockchain is becoming an essential part of future financial infrastructure. That should not be ignored. Competition will absolutely exist. Companies will build products that compete with Ripple in certain areas. Ripple will compete with other financial technology providers. That's simply how every industry evolves. Competition drives innovation. At the same time, collaboration also becomes necessary. Ripple and Swift have already demonstrated areas where cooperation is possible, proving that business relationships aren't always defined by direct competition alone. Many observers continue framing every announcement as proof that XRP has somehow become obsolete. In reality, those conclusions often overlook the bigger picture. Much of the cryptocurrency market spent years focusing almost exclusively on meme coins, speculative trading, and NFT hype. Those narratives distracted attention from the enterprise infrastructure quietly being built underneath the surface. If someone had predicted several years ago that major financial institutions would eventually begin deploying blockchain technology throughout their operations, many long-term blockchain supporters would have considered that incredibly bullish. Today, that prediction is becoming reality. Institutions are actively embracing blockchain instead of dismissing it. History offers countless examples of established companies eventually validating disruptive technologies they initially resisted. When traditional entertainment companies rushed toward digital distribution, they weren't proving digital media would fail. They were admitting digital transformation was unavoidable. When legacy automakers accelerated electric vehicle development, they weren't disproving the future of electric transportation. They were acknowledging that consumer demand and technological progress required adaptation. The same pattern appears throughout technological history. Legacy organizations usually resist disruption until they can no longer ignore it. Eventually, they adapt because remaining unchanged becomes a greater risk than embracing innovation. That doesn't guarantee every incumbent succeeds, but it clearly demonstrates that the technology itself has won. That's exactly why Swift's blockchain announcement should be viewed within its proper context. Rather than signaling the collapse of XRP or public blockchain technology, it demonstrates that even the largest financial messaging network recognizes blockchain has become too important to ignore. Their investment represents confidence in blockchain infrastructure, not rejection of it. So whenever new headlines appear claiming another XRP killer has arrived, take a step back before reacting emotionally. Look beyond the headline and examine what has actually been built. Ask whether it's a permissioned private network or a decentralized public blockchain. Ask whether it's designed for internal coordination or global settlement. Once you understand those architectural differences, the picture becomes much clearer. From that perspective, private blockchain expansion doesn't eliminate the need for public blockchain infrastructure. Instead, it increases the likelihood that open networks like the XRP ledger will eventually play an even more important role as institutions seek interoperability across an increasingly digital financial world. Rather than replacing public blockchain technology, these private systems are laying the groundwork for a future where both approaches operate side by side, each performing the tasks they were designed to do. That's why many investors see developments like this not as a threat to XRP, but as another major step toward broader institutional blockchain adoption across the global financial system. Well, guys, that's all we have for you today. What are your thoughts on XRP? Get involved and let us know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching.